Yo everybody, it's me, it's Fitness65 bringing you a new video. This is just going to be me redoing my TNA Puts On Live 3-hour show on January 4th against WWE Raw, redone. I didn't like how my last video turned out because I really didn't talk that much about TNA. I was mainly talking about the NFL and most people didn't want to hear about that, so I'm redoing this video again. So it's just going to be a quick video giving my thoughts about TNA putting on this live 3-hour show against Raw on January 4th. While this sounds good on paper, I just feel that TNA kind of rushed itself into putting itself on Monday nights real early against WWE Raw, because WWE Raw is pretty much gonna kill TNA in the ratings when it comes to Monday. But TNA just felt that they have Hulk Hogan, and Hulk Hogan thought it would be a good idea to put the competition up against Raw to see what will happen. And apparently, if this thing does work out, then this is gonna be like a permanent thing where the two companies are gonna go head to head every Monday night. So it depends on how the ratings go, how the ratings go, and how well the show's received on Monday. That'll determine whether the show's gonna continue or not, because they pretty much have plans on doing a Monday night TNA show against WWE Raw. But like I said, it all depends on what happens on January 4th. If the ratings are at least close to Raw's ratings, or at least in the 2 point area, somewhere around there, that's going to determine whether or not TNA is going to put on a Monday night show against Raw. And in my opinion, like I said, it's just a little bit too early, because TNA's ratings barely even hit the 2.0s or the 3.0s, and they haven't really been what they should be at. And right now they're sitting at a 1.5 in TNA Impact ratings. So it's just too early. But apparently they want to go for it, and they want to see what happens, and they want to go up against Vince on Raw, which is a big mistake. And in my opinion, in order for TNA to compete against Raw, because like I said in my last video that I deleted, they gotta come strong these next couple impacts, because Raw's gonna put on a really good show like they always do in January. You're gonna have your guest host, who's rumored to be The Rock, but there's also rumors that he's probably not gonna end up hosting the show because of his travel plans, and then him filming the timing of the filming of his movie around that time. So he probably might not end up hosting, but you never know, he might end up showing up or making an appearance. We'll just have to wait and see. And then of course, like I said, Raw's gonna be putting on some really good matches. You're gonna have your Kofi Kingston against Shawn Michaels. I'm pretty sure they might do a match like that. You might have a SmackDown wrestler against a Raw wrestler, or you might have a match that you never really expected to see on Raw that's going to end up happening, or you might end up having some sort of return on Raw that many people are going to talk about more than they talk about Impact. So Raw's going to have their working boots on, and they pretty much already know. Even though they don't see TNA they don't see this whole TNA thing going up against them on Raw, going up against them on Monday night as a bad thing. I mean, they don't see them as a threat. I'm pretty sure that they know that they need to make their show better. And like I said, Raw has a tendency to put on really good shows in January, and this is going to be no exception. So TNA needs to up their game, and they need to start making it like what I said in my last video. They need to start putting some time and effort into the impacts, make them into more like Super Bowl, WrestleMania shows, like more. They need to make them more like important shows heading into the January 4th show, because every show's got to be important heading into January, as it'll get the casual fans talking, and it'll get more people interested in watching TNA on Monday night instead of not wanting to pay attention to it. And then they gotta advertise it more. They gotta like put it out there, like how WWE Raw advertises Raw on Monday nights. They gotta sort of do it like that. That's what TNA needs to do. They need to do everything they can to sort of get people talking and being able to look forward to Monday on January 4th. Even the casual fans who tune into TNA, they need to cater to them too by doing that. They also need to build some of their stars, like make their star, like pay more attention to the young stars, like have the show focused around, have these impacts focus more around their young stars. So then heading into January, most people will know who these stars are and they'll want to see more of them on January. Like for example, Eric Young, they need to focus a lot more on him. Even though they have been on Impact, they need to focus a little bit more on Eric Young. For some reason I'm more interested in seeing more about Eric Young and this whole stable that he has, and then the whole thing with him and Kevin Nash. I would love to see more of that. And then of course they need to have other guys focus more on, like Supermax, Hernandez, Pope D'Angelo Williams, and other guys like that. And so people know who these guys are heading into the January 4th show. They also need to cut the fat into some of their promos heading into January and sort of make their matches more longer and make their main events more longer, because like what I said in my last video, if you've seen Impacts like I've been watching, some of the matches just feel short, they feel rushed, and there hasn't been any time or thought put in any of these matches. It's just, let's throw this match up there and let's see what happens, and then we get the DQ or a draw out of nowhere. So that's what TNA needs to work more on, and like I said, they need to cut the fat on some of their promos, because some of the promos on that show have been just way too long, and TNA needs to fix that. Also, they need to focus more on their TNA World Heavyweight Champion. They need to put AJ Styles more out there, because some people who are wrestling fans don't even know that AJ Styles is the World Heavyweight Champion. So let the casual fans know who he is, and that the champion, and know who the champion is by putting him out more on Impact and not taking him off a couple Impacts and then putting him back on Impact. That's just something you don't do, because fans want to know who the world champion is, and by doing that, you're kind of taking that away from them, and you don't see, they don't know who the world champion is when you do something like that. So they need to put AJ Styles out there more. They need to have a type of good match when it comes to January 4th. They need to put like a really good match that most people will be talking about, like AJ Styles against Desmond Wolfe for the TNA World Heavyweight title, or Kurt Angle against Christopher Daniels, or Hernandez against somebody, or the Motor City Machine Guns against the British Invasion for the tag team titles, and also have a tag team title change that'll have people talking about on January 4th, have a title change that'll have most of the wrestling fans talking, or the casual fans talking about it. That's what TNA needs to do. And finally, they also need to have some sort of a swerve, like have a wrestler who was gone for a while sort of turn heel and have the casual fans talk about it. Have something that'll be talked about that'll sort of overshadow Raw on January 4th, to the point where people will be talking about that swerve rather than what happened on Raw. And that's pretty much the things that TNA needs to do in order to get their company, in order for them to have the same ratings as Raw, or be on the same level as Raw on January 4th. So let's see what TNA has to offer these couple Impacts, because it's all gonna depend on, from these Impacts going all the way to January, how well that show does. But yeah, that's just pretty much my video. I wanted to re-upload this video because my last video talking about this, I didn't like that video, so I wanted to redo this video. Hopefully you like my video. You can rate, you can comment, give me your thoughts about the video, and until then, Fitness65 out, and hopefully you enjoyed this video. Also, like to get a shout out to some of my subscribers and people who've been there with me from the time I started making videos till now. McKellen85, Mighty Moz, and there's other people on here, RKO Kid 89, and other people that I just really can't, that I really don't have that much time of saying in the video. But yeah, I like to thank those people for supporting me, and I hope you enjoy videos that I put on in the next couple days. Until then, I'm out. Peace.